What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Coffee Pod. My name is Chisha Zed.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
This is good, guys. What do men talk about when they are alone? No more wasting time. Let's get it.
Men talk about when they're alone, because I genuinely do not understand how men do not know personal.
Okay, so I guess this is a secret that many people don't know. Pop culture loves to portray men as being very simple and shallow, like we'll get together and we'll just talk about sports all day. We'll never get into anything about our personal lives. And I guess women don't realize there's a reason for this. From birth, it was my understanding that the most noble thing you can do as a man is not be a burden on other people. And most men I've known experience talking about deep subjects as work. You are putting a burden on them. It's not a burden to talk about sports or video games or Warhammer figures, but it is, in our perception, a burden to talk about our jobs, our relationships, and so on. So the arrangement you wind up with is, because I like you, I'm not going to burden you.
Wow. I thought this was incredibly insightful when I heard it. He says, from a young age, I understood that as a man, my goal was not to put a burden on anybody else, or not to be a burden. And men usually look at themselves as problem solvers instead of someone who is going to be a burden. Let's get into these comments. I thought were interesting too. This first commenter says, Ron Swanson said, I worked with a man for 3 years. Never knew his name. Best friend I ever had. Another comment here from another person says, oof, I wasn't expecting you to go straight to my soul on this one. And so he could relate. I think most men can relate. When a woman comes to a man, and I've heard this plenty of times, you guys can probably relate to hearing this scenario. She'll come with a bunch of problems. A lot of times a woman will be like, oh, I just want you to listen to me. I don't want you to solve those problems. And as men, you're not trained to approach women with the same type of strategy of just like, I'm just going to load on you what's happening in my very real, difficult, challenging life. And why is that? Well, because we know as men, we're problem solvers. And the next step is, okay, well, how can we fix these problems instead of just listen? I just want to talk, which is why I also think men are more hesitant to get into therapy, etc., which I always push, man. You want to get into therapy as a man, and it's not magic, right? There is a benefit in talking through problems, and a lot of men don't usually think they need that because it's seen as something that only maybe women do, or I should be strong enough. But in the end, man, this is about putting into yourself and investing in yourself so that you're mentally strong. This is also why you need a brotherhood, or at least one friend who you can actually be honest and open with. Another comment here from another person says, if we do, we aren't telling you about it. It's between bros. Yes, this is actually another really big issue. Now, this doesn't mean that if you are in a relationship with the woman, you don't talk about issues that need to be talked about. But if the issue can otherwise be settled with like a friend or something like that, men do have those conversations with their friends because they can relate, right? They're not going to sit there and just listen. We need more than that. We need solutions. I know we don't live in the 1920s anymore, but men still are the breadwinners in majority of households. Still the majority of breadwinners. So let's say a man is dealing with financial issues. Naturally, he accepts financial responsibility. Him venting to you about how he needs to make more money. It's like, yes, it's great for you to listen and be able to relate. But on top of that, it's like, man, I'd rather talk to my other friend who's also in a situation where he understands that burden of performance as a man, right? Here's another comment from another person that says, when women say they just want to vent and not you solving the problem, do they count the emotional labor of absorbing that? The question mark, exactly what I was talking about. Here's another comment that says, fact, I do talk about personal stuff sometimes with friends, but only if it's funny in some way. And another person here says, I thought this was going to be silly and not based. Another person says, it's time to break this habit. Me and my buddies show pain, fears, dreams, love to each other. I think it's important to make sure you do that with your male friends. Here's another comment that says, I think we Also need that time as an escape from all the heavy real stuff because we tend to dwell on it so much. Here's another comment that says that last sentence hit hard. And the final comment reads, those are very good words to describe this concept. Thank you. Guys, I'm curious, what do you think of the video you just listened to? What the guy had to say in response to that woman's question. Till next time, I appreciate you checking out yet another episode of The Coffee Pod. Peace.